Hey, I'm Emma. Welcome to Revenge Pulse, where every story hits different. Hit subscribe and let's dive in. The text arrived on October 28th, exactly 4 weeks before Thanksgiving. Mom, Thanksgiving planning update. We're doing it at Marcus's new house this year. His wife, Vanessa, is so excited to host her first family holiday. Aunt Joan, can't wait. What can I bring? Dad, we'll bring wine. Red and white. Cousin Tyler, I'm in. Should I bring my famous sweet potato casserole? Grandma Betty. Wonderful. So happy to see Marcus settling down. I scrolled through 23 messages about menu planning, arrival times, and parking arrangements. My stomach tightened as I waited for my name to appear, for someone to ask what I was bringing, for any acknowledgement that I'd be there. Nothing. I typed carefully. What time should I arrive? I can bring dessert. The typing indicator appeared under Mom's name. Disappeared. Appeared again. 3 minutes passed. Finally, sweetie, can you call me? My chest constricted. That phrase never preceded good news. I called. Mom answered on the first ring. Lena, honey. About Thanksgiving. Yes, we think it's best if you sit this one out this year. The words hit like cold water. What? Vanessa is still adjusting to the family. You know how you can be opinionated, intense. We don't want to make things tense for her first holiday with us. You understand? How I can be? I repeated slowly. You know what I mean. You have strong opinions. You don't always read the room. Vanessa is sensitive, and Marcus really wants this to go smoothly. It's important to him. So I'm uninvited. Don't be dramatic. It's just one holiday. We'll all get together for Christmas. This is about keeping the peace. I sat in my home office, the converted bedroom of my downtown condo, surrounded by my graphic design work, my successful freelance business, my carefully built life. At 31 years old, I was being uninvited from Thanksgiving because I might make things tense. Does Marcus know you're doing this? It was his idea. Actually, Vanessa mentioned she'd feel more comfortable with just immediate family this first year, and Marcus agreed it would be better if you weren't there. He doesn't want any conflict. What conflict? I've met Vanessa twice. I've been perfectly pleasant. Mom's voice took on that patient, explaining to a difficult child tone I knew too well. At the engagement party, you corrected her 3 times about your job. She felt like you were showing off. I remembered. Vanessa had introduced me to her parents as Marcus's sister who does computer stuff. I'd politely clarified that I was a graphic designer and brand consultant. When she'd done it again, oh, she makes logos, I'd explained. I ran a full-service design agency. The 3rd time, I'd simply handed her parents my business card. I was clarifying my actual profession. You made her feel small. That's what I'm talking about. Lena, you don't think about how you come across. This is Marcus's wife now. We need to make her feel welcome, even if that means making some sacrifices. Sacrifices like excluding me from family Thanksgiving. It's one holiday. Don't make this bigger than it is. You'll be fine. Behind her, I heard Dad's voice. Is she being difficult? I'll be fine, I said flatly. Enjoy your Thanksgiving. I hung up before she could respond. I sat staring at my computer screen, not seeing the logo design I'd been working on. The familiar ache of being less than settled into my bones, like an old injury that never quite healed. This wasn't the first time. It was just the most explicit. I opened my photo archives, pulling up years of evidence I'd unconsciously been collecting. Age 7, school art show. My painting won first place. Mom and Dad had missed it because Marcus had a soccer game. Sports are time sensitive. Honey, we can see your art anytime. They never did. Age 12. Regional Spelling Bee Finals. I placed 3rd in the state. Marcus's basketball team made it to district semi-finals the same weekend. Guess which event the family attended? The one where Marcus's team lost in the first round. Age 16. My design portfolio got me early acceptance to RIST with a partial scholarship. Marcus got accepted to State University a month later. Mom threw him a celebration dinner at his favorite steakhouse. My acceptance letter went on the fridge for 2 days before being moved to make room for Marcus's baseball schedule. Age 22, I graduated college with honors and a job offer from a boutique design firm in Seattle. Marcus graduated 6 months later with a business degree and no job prospects. My parents flew to his graduation. They zoomed into mine because we already did the travel thing for Marcus and flights are expensive. Age 28, I bought my first condo, 1 bedroom, downtown view, $385,000 that I'd saved 4 or 5 years to afford. I sent photos to the family chat. Mom's response: "Very nice, dear. Did you see Marcus's new apartment?" 2 bedrooms. Marcus's apartment was a rental. I owned property. That detail went unmentioned. Six months ago, Marcus had gotten engaged to Vanessa after dating for 11 months. The engagement party had been an elaborate backyard tent, catered dinner, 75 guests, professional photographer. I'd arrived on time with a thoughtful gift, a custom-designed photo book of the couple, professionally printed, $200 worth of my time and materials. Vanessa had opened it, said "Oh, cute," and set it aside. The evening had been a showcase for Marcus. Dad's toast had gone on for 8 minutes about his son's success, his maturity, his bright future. We always knew Marcus would find someone special. He's always been such a catch. No one had mentioned that I'd been in a stable relationship for 3 years with Daniel, a software engineer I'd met at a professional networking event, but Daniel was working that evening, and I'd come alone, so I was invisible. During cocktail hour, I'd networked. Naturalized was what I did for a living. I'd connected Vanessa's cousin with a potential client. I'd discussed brand strategy with Marcus's boss. I'd been professional and friendly. Apparently, I'd shown off. When it was time for family photos, the photographer had positioned immediate family only. I'd started to join, but Mom had touched my arm. "Just parents and siblings, for this one, honey. You can be in the extended family shot later." I was a sibling, but apparently not for this photo. The extended family shot never happened. The photographer had packed up while I was in the bathroom. I scrolled through the 247 photos posted from that party. I appeared in exactly 8. Always in the background. Never centered. Never important. 2 months ago, Marcus and Vanessa had bought a house. I later learned from Aunt Joan that my parents had given them $85,000 for the down payment. When I'd bought my condo, I'd asked my parents if they could help with closing costs $8,000. Mom had said, "We can't just hand out money, Lena. You need to learn financial responsibility." I'd paid for everything myself, but Marcus got $85,000, no questions asked. I closed my laptop and looked around my condo. 1,100 square feet of space I'd earned. Every piece of furniture bought with my own money. The view of Elliott Bay I'd worked 70-hour weeks to afford. My design agency had grown steadily over 4 years. My family thought I did computer stuff. My phone buzzed. "Daniel calling?" "Hey," I answered. "How'd the Thanksgiving conversation go?" "I'm uninvited." Silence then. "What?" "Mom called. Said I'd make things tense for Vanessa. They want me to skip this year." "Lena, I don't even have words." "That's horrible. It's par for the course, honestly." "What are you going to do?" I looked out at the Seattle skyline, at the city lights reflecting off the water, at the life I'd built without their support. "I'm going to have the best Thanksgiving of my life," I said. "Without them." 2 years and 1 month later, December, the Moretti Group wants to extend the contract for another year, Daniel said, reading from his laptop while we ate breakfast in our new house. "That's $180,000 annual retainer. Plus, they're referring you to 3 other companies in their portfolio." I sipped my coffee and looked out at our backyard, a third of an acre in a neighborhood 15 minutes from downtown. Mountain views, $920,000. We'd bought it 8 months ago after combining our finances and our futures. Accept it, I said, but negotiate up to $195,000. They've grown 40% since we started working together. Our rebrand is part of that success. Daniel grinned. You're terrifying when you negotiate. I love it. My agency had exploded over the past 2 years. That first unbearable Thanksgiving, the one I'd been excluded from, had marked a turning point. I'd stopped waiting for my family's approval and started building something they couldn't diminish. Current annual revenue, $890,000. Team of 6. Office space in a converted warehouse in client list that included 3 Fortune 500 companies, a major tech startup, and a celebrity chef's restaurant group. Forbes had featured my agency in a roundup of 30 design studios. Redefining brand identity. Business Insider had interviewed me about building a creative business in a corporate-dominated market. My family had no idea. After I'd been uninvited from Thanksgiving 2 years ago, I'd made a decision. I'd removed myself from the family group chat. I'd stopped volunteering information about my life. I'd responded to direct messages politely but minimally, usually 48 to 72 hours after receiving them. I saw my parents twice a year, Christmas and one obligatory summer barbecue. I stayed for exactly 90 minutes, arrived strategically late, left without explanation. At last year's Christmas, Mom had asked what I was up to these days. Work is busy, I'd said vaguely. Still doing the design thing? Yes. That's nice. Marcus just got promoted to senior account manager, 6-figure salary now. I'd nodded and changed the subject. My salary was already north of $200,000, not counting business profits. I didn't mention it. At the summer barbecue 3 months ago, Vanessa had asked if I was still freelancing from home. I have an office now, I'd said simply. Oh, that's good. Nice to get out of the house, Marcus says. Working from home gets lonely. I'd smiled and walked away. My team of 6, my 2,500 square foot office space, my corporate clients, none of it was information they'd earned. The 2 Thanksgivings since my exclusion had been transformative. First year, I'd been hurt, raw, alone. Daniel had been traveling for work. I'd considered ordering takeout and feeling sorry for myself. Instead, I'd texted 15 friends. Impromptu Thanksgiving at my place. Potluck style. Come, if you can. 12 had shown up. We'd ordered pizza and Chinese food, drunk good wine, played board games until 2 a.m. My friend Sophie had brought her guitar. We'd sung terribly and laughed until our stomachs hurt. It had been the best Thanksgiving of my life. Second year, I'd planned ahead. Rented a small private room at a local restaurant. Invited 25 people, friends, colleagues, Daniel's family, my assistant, and her husband. Proper Thanksgiving dinner, $2,800 total cost. Everyone had brought a We'd filled the space with genuine warmth. Daniel's mother had pulled me aside. This is lovely. Your family must be so proud of you. They couldn't make it, I'd said, which was technically true. This year would be different. This year would be extraordinary. Tell me about the vineyard event, Daniel said, refilling my coffee. I pulled up my planning document. Woodstone Vineyard, 45 minutes outside Seattle. Private event spaced overlooking the valley. Seating for 50, but I'm capping at 42 guests to keep it intimate. Guest list: Sophie and her girlfriend, your parents and sister. My team from the agency and their partners. The Moretti Group CEO and his wife, they've become genuine friends. 3 couples from our dinner party circuit. My former RISD roommate, who's flying in from New York, the Chuns from next door. A few other close friends. No family. Rachel is coming. My cousin Rachel, the only family member who'd reached out after that first excluded Thanksgiving. The one who'd said, I didn't realize how badly they treat you until you stopped showing up. I'm sorry I never noticed. Daniel. What's the menu? Full catering from Harvest and Rithe Du Farm to table. Locally sourced, traditional Thanksgiving with elevated execution. plus wine pairings from the vineyard, and I'm hiring a photographer for candid shots throughout the evening. Cost $12,400, including venue rental, catering, wine, photographer, and decor. Worth every penny. Daniel whistled softly. Your family is going to lose their minds when they find out. That's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because these people have shown up for me. They deserve celebration. But you won't be disappointed when your family sees it? I smiled. I won't be disappointed. The truth was more complicated. Part of me, the part that had been dismissed for 33 years, wanted them to see it. Wanted them to understand what they'd missed when they'd excluded me. Wanted them to recognize that I'd built a life more meaningful than anything they'd offered. But the healthier part of me, the part that had grown over 2 years of boundaries and chosen family, genuinely wanted to celebrate the people who'd invested in me. Sophie had shown up during my worst breakdowns. Daniel's parents had welcomed me into their family without hesitation. My team had taken risks to work for a growing agency instead of established firms. These people had earned their place at my table. My blood relatives had not. ID sent a brief message to the family chat, the one ID muted but occasionally checked a month ago. I'm hosting Thanksgiving this year for friends. Hope everyone has a lovely holiday. Mom had responded. Oh, how nice. We're at Marcus and Vanessa's again this year. 3rd year in a row. Vanessa does such a beautiful job hosting. No one had asked where I was hosting, or who I was inviting, or if any family was welcome. Perfect. When do you think they'll find out? Daniel asked, loading dishes into the dishwasher. Aunt Joan follows me on Instagram. I'm not hiding it. I'll post photos like I post everything else publicly, casually, without commentary. Someone will see it and tell my mom. And then we'll see what happens. But, Daniel, I'm not doing this for their reaction. 2 years ago, I would have. 2 years ago, I wanted to prove something to them. Now, I just want to celebrate the people I love with the resources I've earned. He kissed my forehead. That's growth. Therapy has been helpful, I admitted. I'd started seeing a therapist 18 months ago, right after the second excluded Thanksgiving. She helped me understand the family dynamics I'd been swimming in my entire life, the golden child versus scapegoat pattern, the way my achievements were minimized to preserve Marcus's position, the emotional manipulation disguised as keeping the peace. Your family assigned you a role, she'd explained. The less successful, more difficult, less important child. Every time you exceeded that role, they couldn't integrate it into their family narrative. So they ignored it. What do I do with that? You can't change them. You can only decide how much access they get to your life. I'd decided. Minimal. 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, the invitations went out. Custom designed, naturally my work. Elegant cards with venue details, RSVP by date, dress code suggestion of autumn cocktail. 42 invitations, 40 invited guests, plus Rachel and her husband. Every single person RSVP'd? Yes. ID built something my family had never managed. A community of people who actually wanted to celebrate together. Thanksgiving Day arrived clear and cold, perfect November weather. Daniel and I drove to Woodstone Vineyard at 1 p.m. to oversee final setup. The event space was stunning, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking rows of dormant grapevines and distant mountains. Long harvest tables with burgundy runners and gold place settings. Centerpieces of autumn flowers and candles. String lights overhead creating warm ambience. The harvest and rye team was setting up the kitchen. The photographer, Mira, was capturing setup shots. Everything was perfect. This is incredible, Rachel said, arriving early with her husband Tom. Lena, seriously, this is magazine-worthy. Thanks for coming, I said, hugging her. It means a lot. Are you kidding? I wouldn't miss this. Although she lowered her voice, you should know, the family Thanksgiving is apparently a disaster. Vanessa and Marcus had a huge fight this morning. She's upset about something. Very tense energy. That's unfortunate, I said neutrally. Mom was texting me complaining about it. Then, she asked if I'd heard from you. I said you were hosting your own thing. What did she say? She got weird, asked where and who was coming. I said I didn't have details. Rachel smiled. But I'm posting photos today. Just so you know. Post whatever you want. I'm not hiding anything. Guests arrived at 3 p.m. The space filled with genuine warmth, people hugging, laughing, admiring the venue. Daniel's mother brought homemade rolls. Sophie's girlfriend brought a spectacular pumpkin cheesecake. The Morettis arrived with expensive wine and authentic Italian warmth. By 4 p.m., 42 people were gathered around the harvest tables, wine flowing, conversation building. I stood to make a toast. Thank you all for being here. 2 years ago, I learned an important lesson. Family is something you build, not something you inherit. You are my family, the people who've shown up, supported my dreams, celebrated my successes, and held space during my struggles. This isn't just Thanksgiving, this is gratitude for each of you. The room erupted in cheers and raised glasses. Several people had tears in their eyes. Dinner was extraordinary. Herb roasted turkey, truffle mashed potatoes, roasted Brussels sprouts with pancetta, cranberry chutney with port wine, sourdough stuffing with wild mushrooms. The vineyard's wine pairings elevated each course. Mira moved through the space, capturing candid moments. Sophie and her girlfriend laughing over dessert. Daniel's father telling animated stories. My design team posing with ridiculous gratitude signs I'd made. Rachel and Tom dancing to the acoustic guitarist we'd hired for ambience. At 7 p.m., I posted a single photo to Instagram. Wide shot of the dinner table, golden hour lights streaming through windows. 42 people gathered in celebration. Caption, grateful for chosen family. Happy Thanksgiving. Within an hour, it had 340 likes and 67 comments. At 8:47 p.m., my phone started buzzing. Text from Aunt Joan. Is this where you hosted Thanksgiving? Lena. This is gorgeous. Text from my college roommate who was Unette at dinner but followed me online. This looks amazing. Next year, can I come? Text from a client. Your Thanksgiving looks like a magazine spread. Beautiful work. Then, at 9:12 p.m., as we were serving coffee and dessert, Mom calling. I let it go to voicemail. She called again immediately. Then Dad. Then Marcus. I showed Daniel my phone. Right on schedule. Are you going to answer? Not tonight. Tonight is for the people who are actually here. By the time Daniel and I got home at 11:30 p.m., exhausted and happy, I had 17 missed calls and 23 text messages from family members. I scrolled through them with clinical detachment. Mom, Lena, please call me. I saw your Instagram. We need to talk. Mom, this is ridiculous. You spent thousands of dollars on a party and didn't invite your own family? Dad, your mother is very upset. Call her immediately. Marcus, seriously, you throw some fancy vineyard party and exclude your own brother? What's wrong with you? Vanessa, I can't believe you'd be so petty, flaunting your money while we're struggling. Aunt Joan, honey, your mom is beside herself. Maybe give her a call? Cousin Tyler, that party looked epic. Why wasn't I invited? Grandma Betty. Lena Dira saw pictures. Looked low belly. Your mother says you're upset with the family. The pattern was exactly what I'd expected. Shock, offense, attempts to make me feel guilty, rewriting history to make themselves victims. I read them all, felt nothing but clarity, and set my phone down. Aren't you going to respond? Daniel asked. Tomorrow. Maybe. Tonight. I am going to enjoy the fact that 42 people just spent 5 hours celebrating each other with genuine love. We fell asleep in our $920,000 house, in our king-size bed, surrounded by the life we'd built together. My phone buzzed throughout the night. I slept through it. Friday morning, I woke to 31 new messages. The family group chat I'd muted was exploding. Raciel had added me back so I could see it. Mom, can someone explain why Lena threw an expensive party and invited strangers but not her own family? Aunt Joan. She said she was hosting friends. I didn't realize it was such a big event. Marcus, she's clearly trying to make some kind of point. This is so typical. Dad, Lena needs to call us and explain this behavior. Vanessa, she's always been jealous of our family gatherings. This is just spite. Rachel, actually, she invited people who've been supportive of her. Seems reasonable. Mom. Rachel, you were there. Rachel. Yes. It was beautiful. And everyone there genuinely cares about Lena. Mom, I care about Lena. I'm her mother. Rachel. Then maybe you should have invited her to Thanksgiving 2 years ago? The group chat went silent for 11 minutes. Then, Marcus. That was completely different and you know it. Rachel, was it though? I smiled and made coffee. Rachel, the unexpected ally. At 10:30 a.m., Mom called again. This time, I answered. Finally, she said, voice tight. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is? Everyone is talking about your little vineyard party. Aunt Joan showed me the photos. You spent a fortune entertaining people while your own family was at Marcus and Vanessa's, I interrupted calmly. Having Thanksgiving, like they have for 3 years, since I was uninvited. You were not uninvited, Lena. We explained that situation. Vanessa was adjusting and you agreed to. I was excluded. There's a difference between agreeing and accepting reality. You're being dramatic. It was one holiday, and now you're throwing elaborate parties and posting them online like some kind of revenge. What kind of person does that? A person who stopped waiting for your approval and started celebrating the people who actually care about me. I care about you, but apparently, strangers matter more than your own mother. Those strangers have shown up for me consistently for years. Can you say the same? Silence. This is hurtful, Lena. Very hurtful. After everything your father and I have done for you, what have you done for me, Mom? Specifically, we raised you. We gave you opportunities. We gave Marcus $85,000 for his house. You gave me criticism when I bought my condo. You attended his college graduation in person and zoomed into mine. You threw him celebration dinners and forgot my acceptance letter on the fridge. Should I continue? That's your twisting things. We've always treated you both equally. We both know that's not true. Another silence. Longer. When Mom spoke again, her voice had changed softer, more manipulative. Lena, honey, I don't want to fight. The truth is your father and I could really use your help. Marcus's mortgage is higher than expected, and we helped them with the down payment, so our savings are depleted. We saw you spent $12,000 on your Thanksgiving party. How do you know what I spent? Aunt Joan looked up the venue prices. The point is, if you have that kind of money for entertaining, you could help your family. We're struggling, and you're throwing lavish parties. It doesn't look good. There it was. The real reason for the call. You want money, I said flatly. We want family support. That's what families do. Since you're clearly doing so well, better than you ever let on, apparently we thought you could help with Marcus's mortgage for a few months. Just $4,800 a month until his next bonus comes through. $4,800 a month. It's not that much for you. You just spent $12,000 on one party. A party celebrating people who've supported me, which doesn't include you. Lena, please. We're family. Family helps family. You're right. Family does help family. The people at my Thanksgiving are my family. You made it clear 3 years ago that I'm not part of yours. That's not your being ridiculous. I need to go, Mom. If you hang up without agreeing to help, there will be consequences. Like being uninvited from Thanksgiving. Already happened. Like being excluded from family photos. Already happened. Like being dismissed and minimized my entire life. Already happened. You don't have consequences left that scare me. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but my breathing was steady. Daniel appeared with coffee. You okay? Yeah. Actually, I am. By Saturday, the situation had escalated to full family warfare. Marcus posted on Facebook, "Interesting how some people prioritize appearances over actual family. Real relationships require showing up, not showing off." The post had 43 likes from family, friends, and relatives. But then the comments started shifting. Rachel, real relationships also require inviting people to Thanksgiving in the first place. Sophie, who'd created a Facebook specifically to comment, I attended Lena's Thanksgiving. It wasn't about showing off. It was about gratitude for genuine friendship. Maybe examine why you weren't invited. Mira, the photographer. I photographed this event. The love in that room was real. That's not something you can fake. Daniel's mother. I've watched Lena be excluded from her own family for years. This young woman built something beautiful with people who appreciate her. That's admirable, not shameful. The tide was turning, but Marcus doubled down. Marcus, easy for strangers to judge. You don't know our family dynamics. Rachel, I'm not a stranger. I'm family. And I watched you guys treat Lena like she didn't matter for decades. She finally stopped accepting it. Good for her. Marcus deleted the post within 2 hours. Sunday afternoon, they showed up at my house. I was working in my home office when the doorbell rang. Daniel was out grocery shopping. I checked the security camera. Mom, Dad, and Marcus standing on my front porch. I opened the door but didn't invite them in. We need to talk, Dad said firmly. About what? About this situation you've created. Can we come inside? No. You can say whatever you need to say from there. Mom's face crumpled. Lena, why are you being so cold? We're your family. You've made it clear I'm not really part of your family. So, let's stop pretending. Marcus stepped forward. This is about Thanksgiving 3 years ago. Seriously. You're going to hold on to that forever. It's not about one Thanksgiving. It's about 33 years of being treated as less important than you. Thanksgiving was just the clearest example. That's not true, Mom protested. We've always loved you both equally. I pulled out my phone. I made a list. Want to hear it? This is ridiculous, Dad said. Age 7. You missed my art award because of Marcus's soccer game. Age 12. You attended his basketball game instead of my spelling bee finals, where I placed 3rd in the state. Age 16. He got a celebration dinner for college acceptance. My RISD acceptance went on the fridge for 2 days. We can't remember every age. 22. You flew to his graduation. You zoomed into mine. Age 28. I bought property. You congratulated him on his rental apartment. 6 months ago, you gave him $85,000 for a down payment. The silence stretched. None of them denied it. We've always supported you, Mom finally said weakly. No. You've tolerated me. There's a difference. You've minimized my achievements, dismissed my career, and excluded me from family events. Then you act confused when I build a life that doesn't include you. You spend $12,000 on strangers, Marcus said bitterly. You could have helped me with my mortgage. Why would I help you? You specifically asked that I not attend your engagement party photos. You told Mom you didn't want me at your graduation celebration. You've never once attended anything important to me. That's not name one of my achievements. Marcus, one thing I've accomplished professionally. He stared at me. You can't. Because you've never paid attention. None of you have. Dad tried a different approach. Lena, we admit we may have made mistakes. We're not perfect parents, but family forgives. Family moves forward. We need you now. You need my money, I corrected. You don't need me. You've made that abundantly clear my entire life. You're successful now, Mom said, tears streaming. More successful than we realized. Doesn't that count for something? Can't you help your family now that you're doing well? Here is what I learned from you. Success means nothing if it is not acknowledged by the people who matter. You taught me that by refusing to acknowledge mine. So, congratulations, you were right. My success means nothing to our relationship because you never valued it in the first place. This is about money, Marcus said accusingly. You're punishing us because this is about respect. About being seen. About mattering. Money is just the easiest thing to measure. You gave Marcus $85,000 without hesitation. You won't even acknowledge that my career exists. That tells me everything. If you don't help your brother, he might lose his house, Mom said desperately. You'd let that happen. Let your own brother become homeless. He won't be homeless. He'll downsize like I did when I was building my business. He'll learn to live within his means. He'll grow. The way I had to grow because you never gave me a financial safety net. We gave you a roof over your head, growing up, Dad shouted. That's the legal minimum requirement for parents. It's not a favor I need to repay for the rest of my life. Ungrateful, Dad spat. This is what we raised, someone who'd turn their back on family over grudges. I'm not turning my back. I'm protecting my front. There's a difference. Mom grabbed my arm. Please, Lena, don't do this. Don't throw away your whole family over pride. I gently removed her hand. I'm not throwing anything away. You threw me away years ago. You just didn't notice, because I kept showing up anyway. I stopped showing up, and suddenly I'm the villain. There will be consequences, Dad warned. You won't be welcome at Christmas. You won't be included in family events anymore. I almost laughed. That's not a threat, Dad. That's my reality for the past 3 years. You just finally noticed. Marcus played his final card. Grandma Betty doesn't understand why you're doing this. The stress is affecting her health. If something happens to her, don't. My voice turned cold. Don't you dare use Grandma's health to manipulate me. That's beneath even you. It's true. She had chest pains last night, worrying about this family conflict. I pulled out my phone and called Grandma Betty on speaker. She answered immediately. Lena, dear Grandma, how are you feeling? Oh, fine. Just finished my yoga class. Why? Marcus just told me you had chest pains last night from stress. Pause. I did no such thing. I slept wonderfully. Marcus, why would you say that? Marcus's face went red. I hung up. Lies, I said quietly. You'll lie about Grandma's health to manipulate me, and you wonder why I don't trust you. Get off my property, I said. All of you, Lena Mum started. I said, get off my property. You're not welcome here. You want nothing to do with me until you need money. That's not family. That's exploitation. I'm done. You'll regret this, Dad said darkly. The only thing I regret is not setting these boundaries sooner. Leave. Now. They left. Mom was crying. Dad was angry. Marcus looked stunned. I closed the door, locked it, and sat on my living room floor. Daniel found me there 20 minutes later, groceries in hand. They came. They came. I sent them away. Are you okay? I looked up at him, this man who'd supported my dreams, celebrated my success, stood beside me at my vineyard Thanksgiving with genuine pride. Yeah, I said. I actually am. That evening, Rachel texted. Mom is calling everyone, saying you're cruel and heartless. Just FYI me. Thanks for the warning, Rachel. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. You stood up for yourself. That took guts. Me, I couldn't have done it without seeing it clearly first. Without people like you reflecting reality back to me. Rachel, you're still my family, the good kind. Monday morning, I woke to an email from Aunt Joan. Lena, I need to apologize. I've watched your parents favor Marcus for years, and said nothing. I told myself it wasn't my business, that I was seeing things wrong, that surely they loved you equally. After Rachel showed me the full picture, years of exclusions, dismissals, and inequity, I can't unsee it. You were treated badly. You deserved better. I'm sorry I didn't speak up sooner. I'm sorry I participated in the family narrative that you were difficult or oversensitive. You weren't. You were responding normally to abnormal treatment. Your Thanksgiving looked beautiful. I'm glad you've built a life with people who see you. Love, Aunt Joan. The first read it 3 times, then called her. Thank you, I said when she answered. That email meant everything. I should have said something years ago, but I'm saying it now. You deserve to be celebrated, not tolerated. I see that now. We talked for 40 minutes. She told me things I hadn't known, arguments she'd overheard, moments she'd witnessed, patterns she'd rationalized. By the end, I had validation I didn't know I'd needed. Can I take you to lunch sometime? She asked. Just us. I want to hear about your real life. Not the scraps your mother mentions. I'd love that, I said honestly. That afternoon, my business phone rang. Unknown number. Lena Morrison Design. Ms. Morrison. This is Catherine Price, from Seattle Business Journal. We're doing a feature on women entrepreneurs who've scaled creative businesses. Your name came up repeatedly in our research. Would you be interested in an interview? My agency. My actual work. Being recognized by people who understood its value. Yes, I said. I'd be honored. We scheduled the interview for the following week. After hanging up, I sat in my office-to-office I'd built, with the team I'd hired, serving the clients I'd earned, felt profound peace. My family's rejection had freed me to build something real, something that didn't require their approval, something that stood on its own merit. I'd spent 33 years trying to earn their acknowledgement. 2 years ago, I'd stopped trying, and in that space, I'd built an empire. 10 months later, September, the Seattle Business Journal feature has been shared 47,000 times, my PR consultant said over Zoom. You're trending on LinkedIn. 3 podcasts want interviews. And this is the big one. Fast Company wants to include you in their Creative Entrepreneurs to Watch issue. I looked at Daniel across our home office. We'd both been working from home this Friday, planning our weekend. Accept all of it, I said. But, make sure they understand, I want to talk about business strategy, not personal drama. Understood. Understood. Although, and I'm saying this as your consultant, the family boundary story resonates with people. It's part of your narrative. My narrative is building a business on my terms. The family stuff is just context. Fair enough. After the call, Daniel spun his chair to face me. How are you feeling about all this attention? Good? Weird? Grateful. I stretched. A year ago, I was just trying to set boundaries. Now, I'm being featured in national publications. It's surreal. You've earned it. The business has grown 60% this year. It was true. Current annual revenue, $1.4 million. Team of 9. Office expansion plan for next quarter. Waiting list for new clients. 3 industry awards. Corporate training contracts teaching my design strategy methods. And my family still thought I did computer stuff. I'd had 0 contact with my parents or Marcus for 10 months. Not since they'd shown up at my house demanding money. The first few months had been hard. Not because I missed them, I didn't but because the guilt programming ran deep. I'd wake at 3 a.m. wondering if I was being cruel, if I was overreacting, if I should just forgive and move forward. Therapy helped. You're not responsible for their financial choices, my therapist reminded me repeatedly. You're not required to set yourself on fire to keep them warm. By month 6, the guilt had faded. By month 8, I rarely thought about them at all. Rachel updated me occasionally. Marcus and Vanessa had sold their expensive house and bought something smaller. Mom had taken a full-time job. Dad's consulting business had folded. They'd had to make real changes, learn to live within their means, adjust their lifestyle. Mom asks about you sometimes, Rachel said over coffee last month. What does she ask? If I've heard from you. If you're okay. If you're still angry. What do you tell her? That you're thriving. That you've built an incredible business and life. That you seem genuinely happy. And she says she's glad you're doing well. Then she changes the subject. Even in my absence, I made them uncomfortable. My success, without their validation, disrupted their narrative. Grandma Betty had called me 6 months ago. Lena, dear, I need to say something. Okay, Grandma. I'm 91 years old. I don't have time for family nonsense anymore. I've watched how your parents treated you and your brother differently. I said nothing because I'm old and tired and I thought it wasn't my place. But I'm saying it now. They were wrong. You deserved better. My throat tightened. Thank you, Grandma. I want to take you to lunch. Just you. I want to hear about your life, your business, your Daniel. I want to actually know my granddaughter instead of the version your mother tells me about. We'd met for lunch the following week. She'd asked real questions, listened to actual answers, celebrated genuine achievements. At the end, She'd handed me an envelope. "What's this?" "Money market account I set up for you 20 years ago. Been growing it quietly. Your parents don't know. $47,000. Use it however you want." I'd tried to refuse. She'd insisted. "Your grandfather would be proud of you," she'd said. "Building something real on your own terms. That takes courage." I'd cried in the restaurant parking lot for 15 minutes. This year's Thanksgiving was already planned. Same vineyard, same approach. But bigger. 52 guests confirmed. Sophie was bringing her new wife. They'd gotten married in August, and I'd designed all their wedding materials. Daniel's entire extended family was coming. My team of 9, all with partners. The Morettis and 4 other client friends, Rachel and Tom. Aunt Joan and her husband, Grandma Betty, who'd made it clear she was on Team Lena now. Plus, new additions. 3 other women entrepreneurs I'd met through the Seattle Business Journal feature. 2 designers I mentored. A couple from our neighborhood who'd become dear friends. Budget, $18,500. Worth every penny. "Do you think your parents will see the photos again?" Daniel asked. "Probably. I'm not hiding my life. And you're okay with that." I thought about it. A year ago, part of me wanted them to see it, wanted them to understand what they'd lost. Now, I genuinely don't care if they see it or not. I'm celebrating people I love. Their awareness is irrelevant. That's growth. That's therapy and boundaries and 2 years of consistency. Last week, Mom had sent a Facebook friend request. I'd declined it. She'd sent an email. "Lena, I'd like to talk. Maybe we could meet for coffee? I miss you." I'd read it, felt nothing but mild curiosity, and archived it without responding. I wasn't ready. Maybe I never would be. Tat was okay. The Seattle Business Journal feature had published last month. Full spread, professional photos, detailed interview about building a design agency from scratch. The headline read, "Lena Morrison built a $1.4 million design empire on her own terms." The article mentioned my background briefly. Morrison credits her success to fierce independence and clear boundaries. "I learned early that approval from others isn't necessary for achievement," she explains. "I built my business for me, not for external validation. That freedom has been transformative." Comment section filled with other entrepreneurs sharing similar stories. Other people who'd built success outside family support. Other people who'd learned that chosen family can be stronger than blood. One comment stuck with me. "This gives me hope that I can build something real, even if my family doesn't understand me. Thank you for showing what's possible." That, I realized, was why I'd agreed to share my story. Not for revenge against my family, but for hope for others in similar situations. Today, sitting in my home office with Daniel, planning Thanksgiving with people who'd actually earned their place in my life, I felt something I'd never experienced growing up. Contentment without condition. Success without apology. Belonging without compromise. My phone buzzed. Text from Sophie. "Can we bring anything to Thanksgiving besides the famous sweet potato casserole? Me. Just yourselves. Can't wait to celebrate with you." Sophie, you've built something beautiful. Not just the business. The whole life. I'm proud of you. Me, couldn't have done it without you. Sophie, that's what chosen family is for. I looked at my calendar. October already. Thanksgiving planning in full swing. Christmas would come after another holiday I'd spend with people who earned access to my time and love. Last December, Mom had sent a group text. "Family Christmas at our house. Everyone welcome." I hadn't responded. Hadn't attended, had instead spent Christmas morning with Daniel's family, then hosted dinner for friends who didn't have local family. 23 people, cozy and genuine, full of real laughter instead of performed family unity. This year would be the same. My calendar, my choices, my boundaries. "What are you thinking about?" Daniel asked, noticing my distant expression. How different my life is now. 2 years ago, I was uninvited from Thanksgiving and felt devastated. Now I'm planning my 3rd annual chosen family Thanksgiving and feeling nothing but gratitude. Regrets? About my family? No. I gave them 31 years of trying. They gave me breadcrumbs. I don't regret stopping that exchange. About the business? The boundaries, any of it. I looked around our home office. 2 desks, 2 successful careers, partnership, built on mutual respect. Through the window, our yard where we'd hosted summer barbecues for friends, the life we'd built together, brick by brick, without requiring anyone's permission. No regrets, I said firmly. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be. My phone buzzed again. This time, unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello, Señora Morrison. This is Trevor Chun from TEDx Seattle. We reorganizing our spring lineup and would love to have you speak about building creative businesses outside traditional support systems. Would you be interested? TEDx, a platform, a chance to tell the story that might help others. Yes, I said, I'd be honored. After hanging up, I looked at Daniel. TEDx wants me to speak. About what? Building without traditional support. Boundaries. Chosen, family. All of it. Are you going to do it? Absolutely. That evening, I started outlining the talk, not a revenge story against my family. Not a pity narrative about being excluded, a story about agency, choice, and building a life that honors your actual values instead of performing for approval you'll never receive. Working title, When They Do Untint Invite You to Thanksgiving. Building a life that doesn't need their validation. I wrote for 2 hours, words flowing easily. The story had clarified over time, stripped of raw pain, refined into something useful. The next morning, I'd email the outline to the TEDx organizers. But tonight, I sat with the narrative I'd lived, recognizing it for what it was. Not tragedy, but transformation. 1 year later, Thanksgiving Woodstone Vineyard, 4th annual Chosen Family Thanksgiving. 68 guests this year. The space was at capacity, filled with people who'd earned their seats through years of showing up. Sophie and her wife. Daniel's entire extended family. My team of 12 now. Clients who'd become friends. Entrepreneurs I mentored. Rachel, Tom, and their kids. Aunt Joan and Uncle Pete. Grandma Beatty, now 92 and thriving. The Morettis and their adult children. Friends from college, from Seattle, from my growing network of people who'd invested in me. Mira was photographing again. This year, we'd hired a videographer to documenting not just the event but the stories. Quick interviews with guests about what Chosen Family meant to them. At 5 p.m., I stood to make my annual toast. This is our 4th year together. Some of you have been here since year 1, when 12 of us ate Chinese food and pizza because I was too raw to plan anything fancy. Some of you are new this year. All of you belong here because you've shown up not just for celebrations, but for struggles. Not just when it's convenient, but when it matters. 4 years ago, I learned that I'd been uninvited from my family's Thanksgiving. It devastated me at the time. Looking around this room now, I realize it was the greatest gift they could have given me. Being excluded from their table forced me to build my own. And this table, I gestured to the 68 people gathered. This table is everything I never knew I needed. 2 chosen family, 2 suing gap, 2 building lives that honor who we actually are, not who others think we should be. The room erupted in cheers. Glasses raised, genuine love filling the space. Later, during dessert, Rachel pulled me aside. Mom saw your Instagram post, the wide shot of the dinner, and Secret said that could have been us if she'd just forgiven us. I felt nothing. Not satisfaction, not pain, just observation. Did you correct her? I said, that could have been you if you'd invited her in the first place. She didn't respond. How are they doing? Better. Actually, Dad got a job at a consulting firm, stable income. Marcus downsized again, but they're managing. Mom seems, quieter. Less judgmental. Like, maybe she's learning something. That's good, she asked, if you'd be willing to talk. Just coffee. Just conversation. I considered it. Maybe someday, but not yet. I'm not ready to risk the peace I've built. That's fair. I'll tell her. Rachel hugged me. For what it's worth, You were right. About all of it. You deserved better, and you built better. So did you. Thank you for seeing me. At DSPM, guests started departing. Long hugs, genuine promises to see each other soon, relationships that existed outside this one day. Daniel and I were among the last to leave. Standing in the empty vineyard space, string lights still glowing, I felt overwhelming gratitude. Same time next year? Daniel asked. Absolutely. Absolutely. Although we might need to find a bigger venue, your chosen family is outgrowing the space. That's a good problem to have. Driving home, my phone buzzed. Email notification. Subject, TEDx Talk, 2.1 M views. My talk had posted 6 months ago. It had resonated far beyond what I'd imagined. Millions of people sharing stories of setting boundaries, building chosen families, learning that approval from people who don't see you is worthless. The comment section had become a support group, people sharing their own stories of exclusion and transformation, other people recognizing that they deserved better than breadcrumbs. I'd received hundreds of messages, other entrepreneurs who'd built businesses without family support, adult children of narcissistic families learning to set boundaries, people discovering that chosen family could heal wounds blood relatives had caused. My story, the story that had started with devastating exclusion, had become something larger, something useful. At home, Daniel and I changed into comfortable clothes and sat on our couch with tea. Best Thanksgiving yet? He asked. Every year is the best one. Because every year, I'm more clear about what matters. Your parents? I hope they're okay. Genuinely. But their well-being isn't my responsibility. Their choices aren't mine to fix. Their consequences aren't mine to prevent. Think you'll ever reconcile? I don't know. Maybe, if they can acknowledge what actually happened instead of rewriting history. Maybe, if they can see me as I actually am instead of the role they assigned me. Maybe, if they understand that relationships require consistent investment, not emergency contact when they need something. That's a lot of maybes. It is. And I'm okay if none of them happen. I've built a life I love with people I love. That's enough. Before bed, I checked Instagram one last time. The photo I'd posted, wide shot of 68 people celebrating together, had 2,847 likes and 394 comments. One comment. From someone I didn't know. This is what healing looks like. Thank you for showing me it's possible. I liked the comment and set my phone down. 4 years ago, I'd been excluded from Thanksgiving, told I'd make things tense. Dismissed as too opinionated, too intense, too much. Now I hosted 68 people who celebrated exactly who I was. 4 years ago, my family had asked for $52,000 to cover my brother's mortgage money they'd never given me, support they'd never offered. Now, I ran a $1.4 million business built entirely on my own terms. 4 years ago, I'd been invisible in my own family. Now I was seen, celebrated, and valued by the people who mattered. They'd uninvited me to keep peace. I'd built paradise in response. And I'd learned the most important lesson: you can't lose what you never really had, but you can build what you actually need. My chosen family. My successful business. My boundary-protected peace. They'd given me scraps and called it family. I'd built a feast and called it home.